Hello and welcome to the USA Volleyball Show, the official podcast of USA Volleyball. We're coming to you on location again. What is this? Another on location show? You got it right. It's a special one from Big Ten Network at the Big Ten Media Day. And I've got a special guest host here today. It's Victoria Dennis. Victoria, this has been such a cool experience for us. How have you enjoyed it?
I am so excited. I mean, we know that volleyball is the #1 youth sport in America for a reason, because it's fun. But NCAA volleyball this 2025 calendar year is going to be next level. We've previously seen Nebraska fill a football stadium, Penn State coming off that national championship, and SB's award to go with it. Coaching change, Louisville, Coach Dani going to Nebraska. I mean, get ready and buckle up and make sure your TVs are on, because this season is going to be off the charts.
It's all the storylines. We've got some great interviews lined up for you today. I think my favorite part of today was getting to see Izzy Starck's championship ring.
Yeah.
It opens up. It's so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I think better than maybe Super Bowl rings, honestly. That was amazing.
Oh yeah, an interactive ring opening up. I was like, girlfriend, show me that ring. And she came right on over, and I was like, I have to take a video of this.
I mean, you wear that out wherever you go, I would think.
You're gonna set off a metal detector. I mean, the thing was like a planet on her finger. It was so cool to see, and it's on USA Volleyball Instagram.
We're going to have, speaking of Instagram, Victoria was doing some amazing Instagram content with some of these athletes, which you're going to see throughout the year as well. So stay tuned to all of your USAV social media channels. Before we launch into our interviews, Victoria, what were some of your favorite parts to kind of preview for our audience here of some of the great things that we talked about with the coaches and with Izzy in today's interviews?
One of my favorite parts would have to be speaking to such strong women heading these national programs and all the spotlights that are on them. It's really just inspirational at the end of the day to hear their story, and that, you know, you can be a mom and you can coach and you can do all the things that you want to do. And it was also fun to get an inside look at our questions of, what do you look for when you're recruiting? What does your team culture look like? Great conversations.
It absolutely was. I totally agree with that. I think one of my favorite things is just, obviously a lot of these coaches and athletes that we're talking to today are in such a big spotlight. The national spotlight is on the Big Ten. It's on women's college volleyball. And then to, get to talk to them, and they're, just like normal people for us, and, they haven't let it get to them. But also, we're talking about some big matchups here that are going to be coming this season. We've got some big storylines from last year that you obviously touched on earlier as well. I think it's so neat to go to the source and get exactly what they're thinking about for this upcoming year, what their reactions were to last year, and all of the nitty-gritty details like that.
We tried to ask some X's and O's. I am an analyst, so I want to know, what's your offense, what's your defense? We asked the coaches that, but you'll have to wait and see later in this episode what their answers are.
Absolutely. So without any further ado, let's get to our first interview, which was just so cool that we got to speak to head coach of Penn State women's volleyball, Katie Schumacher-Cawley. Coach Katie, thank you so much for sitting down and joining us today. We really appreciate it. And just overall, your thoughts on another Big Ten Media Day here and getting ready to start another season.
Yeah, it came quick, and I'm so excited. I'm excited for our players to have this experience, Izzy and Jill, and the Big Ten does such a wonderful job doing this, and they're really paving the way with how they treat women's volleyball.
The national spotlight is at an all-time glow for women's volleyball at the NCAA level in the U.S. What, rolling out of this national championship year for you, have you noticed the growth in the last 2 to 3 years alone?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Even in our area in State College, volleyball has blown up, and more younger girls are playing, and I can't be more excited about that. And USA Volleyball is doing a great job. Megan Hodge was just assistant coaching of the U23 team, and they just won a gold. So I'm happy for her. And it's volleyball's big time.
Coach, we're not too far removed from your moving speech at the ESPYs, winning the Jimmy V Award, and then just, your story has touched so many people. Have you had some interactions, since then, and obviously, during last season that really, touched you, or where you really noticed that your story has gotten out there to a lot of other people?
Yeah, I'm so grateful. It's a little overwhelming of the outreach of people, but I'm so grateful for it, and, happy if I can help someone, then I can, but no, I'm really touched on how many people have reached out to me throughout the season, and, as we continue forward.
What are the pillars that you stand on, not only as a coach, but just in life in general, as a human being, as, family and friends, every day? How do you just wake up and just be you?
Yeah, I think it's, for me, it's faith, family, and love. And I've been surrounded by really great people in my life, and, my family, my parents, and my brothers and sisters, and just, life's too short. So enjoy it and be a great person.
Coach, when we were watching that sort of prepackaged video before your speech, one of the things that came up was just how you always brought the energy to practice, even no matter what you were going through, whether you had treatment that day. How did you do it? How did you stay positive, stay with that energy when it must have been so tough for you?
I don't know if I always had that energy. They did. But no, I think I just wanted to be in the gym. I wanted to be around the team. They were so fun and remarkable coaching staff, and that made my day so much better just being a part of it.
What would you say the culture of Penn State volleyball is?
I know everyone says family, but I just think it's a tight-knit group that takes care of each other, regardless of what you like, what you don't like, and they're just good to each other.
Looking forward to this upcoming season, obviously a very tight battle with Nebraska last year, and then, you got to defend the title this year. Just your overall thoughts on how tight of a race it is in the Big Ten and how tough it's going to be to defend the title.
Yeah, it's a dogfight every night in our conference. I don't really look at the rankings, and I don't think it really matters, because there's going to be teams that are going to beat up on each other from top to bottom, and you have to be ready to go. And it's going to be so competitive, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Having your starting quarterback Starck out there running your offense, quite the freshman year for her. How are you now coming into the next season with this current roster?
Yeah, I think Izzy's feeling confident and getting stronger and getting better every time she's in the gym. And I'm excited to see what these returners will do and how we'll incorporate our new players. And if anything, I know they'll play hard.
To build off of that question, where do you see, as the coach, the differences between this year's squad? I know it's early, and last year's squad. Is it defensively? Is it, in the way the attack's going to come?
Yeah, I think defensively we'll be pretty good, but I just think the senior leadership of last year's team, we had 5 seniors that, regardless if they were on the floor or not, I knew they were taking care of everything. So I think leadership will be big for this group, and we have quite a few that have stepped up this summer. So we'll see what they do once we start practice.
What are some keys every time you come into practice that you really want to solidify in the gym with your team every day, either offensively or defensively, without giving away too many secrets?
Serve pass. I think that our serving got much better last year, and I think we need to continue that. And passing at this level is, you have to be able to do some things. And but no, I think we'll defensively be a great team, and we have some good arms on the pins, and I think we'll find ways to score.
To go back to your answer about leadership, how involved are you with that? Do you leave that kind of hands off to your athletes to build their own leadership and their own leadership style? Or do you kind of give them a helping hand in certain regards to help replace, obviously, the leadership that you lost from last year?
I think it's always helping. I think everyone needs help, so I think it's always kind of leading them to a certain way, and then they take off. And then they're true leaders. But I think always having input is good. And but like I said, we have a group coming back that was part of it last year, so they understand what needs to be done.
Yeah, and any matchups that you've specifically circled on the calendar for this upcoming season?
All of them. All of them. Take a look at our preseason. Every single match, we need to be ready and focused.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, Coach, we can't thank you enough for taking some time to sit down with us. We really appreciate it, and we're looking forward to watching Penn State this upcoming season.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
Izzy, thank you so much for sitting down with us. First, you got to walk us through the rings. These are the best parts of the whole day right here.
Yeah, so this is the Big Ten ring that we have, and then this is our national championship ring. And this one's my favorite just because it's cool, because it opens up. So we have rec hall on the inside, and then there's probably a million other things about this ring that means something. The detail's just crazy.
I mean, the blingage is real, girlfriend. Like, as soon as you walked over, I was like, I need to get a photo of this. This is so sick. Okay, well, let's talk about the road that led to the ring on your hand. Quite the freshman year for you. How did you even come in to that starting role at, the setter position, quarterback, running an offense? What does that even look like through a freshman's eyes?
Yeah, I mean, just like the amount of pressure that you kind of step into. And, I had a lot of seniors on the team, which helped so much. So they just kind of led me through of what to expect and how to get through tough things. And every single match we played led a different challenge for us. And I think like the more we went in the season, you seem to get more comfortable, but the harder the challenges do get, especially in the tournament with the pressure of you don't know when your last game is going to be with the team. And I mean, we did the best possible we could by making it all the way. And it was just a crazy journey through it all of like so much learning about myself through it.
Izzy, how did your experience maybe with USA Volleyball and being on some pretty successful national teams help you for this past season and frankly in your college career?
Yeah, I think just the experience it gave me at such a young age, like playing against teams from other countries when I was 16 years old, it really translates into the college game of the pace of it. And you see different types of teams all the time, like the international teams, they all play a different game of volleyball, and same with different teams in Big Ten and outside of conference, they all play such a different game. So being able to be exposed to that so early on really helped me. When I got into the Big Ten and non-conference games at such a young age, it kind of just felt natural for me.
When did you start volleyball, first off, and when did you start setting and decide, okay, I think this is my sport?
Yeah, so I started volleyball when I was 6. So my sister played and my parents played, so I kind of just like naturally kind of went into it. And then I was kind of doing every position. I started off as libero DS because I was really, really short when I was 8 years old. So I started with that, and then when I started getting taller, I started setting and hitting a little bit more. And then all through club, I actually set and hit. And then doing the USA national team things, I just set, and that's where I kind of like found myself more with like my leadership. And I really liked being that type of role on the court of where I can direct and kind of run different things and just be creative, which just kind of like was more my style.
To stick with the quarterback theme, everybody loves when it's a quarterback on quarterback matchup, Brady Manning. For you, what is your favorite matchup when you look across the net and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for this one. I've circled this one on the calendar. Maybe a rival, if you will, that you just love going against.
Yeah, I think Bergen at Nebraska, because we both have just such similar offenses. So it's just cool to see what she does with the hitters she has. And it just makes it fun to see how we can compete against each other. And I played with her in the USA gym, so we have that same experience. So it's so cool to like see how she is on the court too.
What are 3 things that you want to be consistent at every game day?
I think just being able to be in a steady mind is the big one with playing in the Big Ten and these high pressure games, just making sure like my head's at a steady level. And then also just like consistency with my tempo and location is huge for my hitters. It doesn't have to be exactly what they want all the time, but as long as it's consistent for them, they can adjust and we can kind of get a good rhythm with each other.
Definitely want to be able to ask you a question about Coach. Obviously, such an inspiring story. We saw how it impacted you all last year. Just a couple words on Coach and just how she's been an inspiration to you.
Yeah, I mean, she showed up for us every single day in the gym, and I think seeing someone go through what she went through and still being able to show up for us every day is just like, you really think you could do anything during the year. And she had so many challenges and it always was there for us as people. So I think it's just so cool to see how we were with each other.
What is it going to take for Penn State to go back-to-back national champs?
Yeah, I think it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of resilience with each other and just a lot of moving parts. We have a pretty new team compared to last year, but I think if we just find that steady voice with each other and making sure we're all relaxed and everything, I think we have a good potential to be there.
Well, Izzy, I think our time with you is coming to an end. But
I do have one more question
please,
I want to get in.
More.
For juniors watching, you're an inspiration. They want to be you and play at this level. And going through the recruiting process is really hard, whether it's NAIA, NCAA, junior college. What's a piece of advice for a junior on the recruiting side that wants to play at that next level, no matter what it looks like?
Yeah, I think just everyone's journey is so personal to them. You don't really know what you're going to expect in the recruiting journey, but I think just being able to stick it through and you're going to find the place that you like and really just stay true to yourself, because it is going to be where you grow the most. You grow so much in college and you want to be somewhere that you're so comfortable with and that you love so much. So I think just being open to all your options and just really listen to what you want as a person.
Thank you.
Izzy, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Coach Caitlin, thank you for joining us, representing Rutgers.
Well, thank you for having me.
Gonna dive in here and have a great conversation about what it takes to play at the NC2A level and really the structure of your team coming into this season, and also being a female head coach in a giant spotlight here.
Yeah, I appreciate you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. Coach, first, we got to talk about how you got to your role. You were just telling us before we turned on the camera, just how much of a non-linear path it was for you, but it's really an inspiring story if you could share.
Yeah, it's a really atypical role, I think, and it just shows that there's endless possibilities to get to where you want to be. When I was offered the opportunity to head coach in the Big Ten, I really couldn't believe that that's where my choices had taken me, and so obviously I jumped at that opportunity. But I played at St. John's, which was in the old Big East, and we were able to be very successful in that league at the time. And then I worked in Manhattan for a few years in public relations. I had some internships beforehand, so having been at St. John's, I was able to get into the city for internships. And I worked for a big PR firm that represented all of Johnson & Johnson Beauty as well as Ulta, so I was on the PR team. So I really got my hand and felt comfortable in front of the camera and behind the camera and with spokespeople and things like that. Anyways, I really missed volleyball at the time, and my coach in college said to me, I really think you'd be a good coach one day. You have a strategical mind. And so I started assistant coaching at the Fashion Institute at FIT, which plays in the junior college league, because you have to, I guess, reapply after 2 years of going there, which I didn't know. But I was able to coach at night and on the weekends while I was working full time. And then from there, I moved back to Pennsylvania and started coaching high school. And my high school team was really successful, so I got offered an assistant position at Bucknell and then Lehigh. It just kind of, rolled out. You can read my resume after that, but it just kind of rolled from there.
I mean, every stop on the map, it felt like there.
Yeah, and when I was at Lehigh, I was getting my master's degree, and I didn't know exactly what I wanted to get a master's in. And so they had this really interesting program that was in Master's of Education, but it was in organizational change. And so I went that route because I was always really curious about the change process and how that happened. Because even my St. John's team, we finished, I think we lost like 9 or 10 matches in a row in 5 sets my freshman year. And by my junior, we were Big East champions. And so how that change happens is really interesting to me. And so I always then from there took on coaching jobs that needed to have some sort of change creation happen. Obviously, Rutgers one of those.
How does being a mom influence your coaching?
In so many ways. I think I just turned 39, and I think back to when I was 29, when I didn't have my daughter, she's 7, she'll be 8 in November, going to 2nd grade. It's just really taught me that the way that you have to speak to your players is they still have that you still have to speak to them in a way that is supportive. Obviously, you need to be make sure that it's not just transactional, that there's a relationship that's being built at all times, just like it would be with your own child, because obviously I'm not coaching my child. I don't know if I'll ever coach my child. I ran a camp the other day and she was there and I was like, I don't know if I can coach her. But, it really makes you feel like you understand what their parents are feeling as they're watching them play and what type of experience you would want for your own child from a coaching standpoint. So that's always in the back of my mind, is that they are someone's child. My players are someone's child. My staff has a family. My staff is someone's child as well. And I want to treat them with respect the same way I hope my child would be treated.
It was a younger team last season. You're going in with a little bit more experience, a little bit more, kind of that sharpening of iron from last season. What are you looking forward to from this season within the context of having a lot of tough battles last year that might help you for this year?
I think a lot of people will immediately go to the record when they see a team and look at the success of the team based on that record. The reality is we started 4 freshmen last year, 2 sophomores, only 1 graduate from last season. Obviously, that was a major contributor for us, but it takes time. It takes time to build a program. And for those people that really took a deeper dive into what we're doing at Rutgers, they're super interested in it from a club perspective, from a fan base perspective, from a donor perspective. I think the brand has really shifted and changed. And all the curriculum shows it takes 5 to 6 years to really kind of create sustainable change. We're headed into this 5th, 6th year after COVID. And I'm just super excited to see what this group brings. But they have a lot of court experience as sophomores and juniors, which is not always the case on other Big Ten teams.
You have many things on your plate as a head coach. One of them is recruiting. What do you look for when you're going out through that recruiting process for an athlete?
So recruiting in the Big Ten is so different than when it was when I was in the mid-majors, because there we didn't really even build a list, I would say, until like February of the 16 year. Now my coaches are out watching 14-year-olds just to kind of start finding the players that could potentially play in the Big Ten. The reality is there is a smaller group of players that can physically play in the Big Ten. But that group is growing larger and larger every year with the growth of volleyball. I think my first year, maybe there was 50 that could play in the Big Ten. This past year, our list was over 125. So it is growing. What makes them really stand out is personality, both on and off the court. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be the most talkative or the most outgoing. We have players on our team that are on the shyer side, that are more reserved, but it's like, what do they bring to the table when the pressure's on them? Do they hide and shy from it? Are they willing to take the big swing under pressure? I think that those are things that are really important. And when you have fans and people on television who are watching you play, they expect some sort of entertainment, right? They're paying for a ticket, they're coming to see and be entertained. So I think on-court personality is really, really important, and the ability to build a relationship with their team and their coaching staff, because that's the type of coach that definitely I am, is more of a relationship-based coach.
That personality side of things is so neat. For a little context, I just came back a couple of weeks ago from our 14s to 17s tournament in Dallas, saw a bunch of different coaches there, was asking some of them what they were looking for from those tournaments. I think personality is such a great one. Is that difficult to kind of see when you get to these big tournaments? And I'm assuming your staff is there and other, coaching staffs are there, but is that a good format when you're at these big tournaments to see where they really might shine in some of the pressure?
Yes and no. I used to only go to the first 2 days of tournaments, and now I really only go to the last 2 days of tournaments. I think that even if the team didn't win day one, that's okay. How are they competing in whatever flight they're in or whatever division they're in? Are they still invested? Are they still showing a competitive nature, regardless if they're playing on the main court or the court that's all the way in the corner? Because the reality is I came from Philadelphia. Volleyball was not strong, and we were often the team that was all the way in the corner, and you still have to have a presence and look like you want to be there and are still enjoying playing the game. I think that where the recruiting stands is, because it happens so early in volleyball, it is tough to really narrow down that list until you actually can talk to the players on June 15th. So sure, you can see some things, like, again, what is their competitive nature? What are they like on the sidelines if they get pulled? I like to watch players play against really good teams, against teams that they might, beat handedly. How do they respond? How do they talk to their parents afterwards? There's all those things. But I always, my staff laughs at me, but I think I have a Marie Kondo style of recruiting where, like, if they bring me joy, and if they don't, we kiss them and set them free. So it's a lot of it's just this gut feeling about, are they going to fit with my vibe and with the vibe of the team? And now that, again, everyone's been recruited by me, I can kind of compare them to some of the players that we already have and who they would potentially get along with on the team.
So take notes, players. If you tell coach a good joke, you're in business.
Yeah, smiles are important.
For sure.
Yeah, smiles are important, and playing with joy is one of my pillars that I stand on as an athlete and as a club coach now. What are the pillars of Rutgers volleyball?
So the players definitely have their own, joy was one of the core values of the playing group. As a whole group, obviously Rutgers is a wonderful academic institution. We're the number 15th top public school in the nation. So academically minded is important. Doesn't mean you have to be the best student in the world. We have help for you, but having that desire to do well academically is important. Effort, obviously. Flexibility is huge. I am a single mom, so I sometimes am not on time, or things need to change, or my daughter gets sick or whatever, and I need to have players who can adapt to my lifestyle and I can adapt to their lifestyle. And then the biggest thing about this program that I feel is really, really key is that I want players who can truly be themselves. And so they don't need to fit into this system of, this is the type of person you have to be. You can really bring your own interests and your own background. And our team, Rutgers is the most diverse school in the Big Ten, but it's not just diverse in skin color, it's diverse in culture and socioeconomic background and where people are from around the world and religion and all these different things. And my team really embraces that. And so I just want people to be themselves. Obviously, you have to be part of a team when it comes to in-game system, defense, offense, but off the court and on the court, I want them to be able to showcase their true personality.
To ask a similar question, as I believe we're wrapping up here, but if you had to give one adjective to describe your team for the 2025 season, what might that adjective be?
Gritty. I mean, that is Rutgers as a whole. We are gritty, and these players, we start the Big Ten season with some tough opponents, and we're at a point where it doesn't matter what the name is on the jersey on the other side. It's like they just want to go and compete, and I think we're going to surprise a lot of people this year.
We're looking forward to it. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks,
Thank
Coach.
you. Thank you very much.
Coach Dani,
Yes,
thank you for joining us.
of course.
Representing Nebraska
Yeah.
with a full heart, I would imagine.
Oh, for sure. Just being back it's obviously really fun, but on top of that, just grateful and just so appreciative of the state and the warm welcome and everybody from people I've never met being excited all the way down to my mom and dad, who are maybe the most excited people in the entire state.
It's a question you've probably been asked so many times at this point, but just taking over for Coach Cook, and obviously huge shoes to fill, but you are more than well equipped to fill those shoes. But what has that whole process been like for you? I'm assuming you had a lot of conversations with him, and then just with your family, and probably some internal conversations as well before you took this job.
Well, I feel like being well equipped to take over for John, I don't know if anybody's well equipped. He was such a presence, obviously for Nebraska, but for the sport of volleyball. And so I don't think there's going to be another John Cook. But there can be a different era. And I think what's really special about me and the relationship I had with John is just being able to take over a program that he's worked so hard the last 25 years to make it what it is. But be able to keep so many of the things he did alive, and I understand what he did and the challenges he went through to get where he got the program. But then I can also add my own spin on things. So you can really do the best of both worlds, and I think that's also what's allowed the transition to go as smooth as it has. The players can still feel comfortable with some of the resemblance of John and the way we do things, but they're also like, oh, this is new. And so there's a little excitement that comes with newness. So it's been good to have a mix of both.
Speaking of the new era, what are the pillars of Nebraska volleyball that you've seen stand true throughout the decades? And what maybe are a couple new pillars that we'll see in 2025?
Well, attention to detail, it goes understated at Nebraska in general. I think the program did such a great job of making that important, but it's the whole athletic department. And it's just amazing, from people that are, cleaning the floors to the athletic director. It's just attention to detail is so important. I also think that the gratefulness that the players of Nebraska, the vibe they give off of the way they treat the people in the state of Nebraska, I think that's definitely something that's been true and will continue to stay true. I'd like to think that I'll add a little bit spin of some little fun, and at the end of the day, we play a sport, and I think it's hard to remember that at Nebraska because it is so important, but we have to remember that this is the game, and I want us to enjoy what we're doing as much as we can at all times.
Can you give us some specifics of where are some of the first places you're putting your stamp on this program and making it your own? Like, is it, just making sure you set your own practice schedule? Is it, meeting with your senior leadership? Is it, just making sure you talk to all of the staff first? Where are some of those first points where you're instilling that?
First is switching up the roles of the staff. I was lucky enough to keep the same staff, but how can I help them grow and switch up their roles? And a lot of times in my practice at Louisville, you might not be able to tell who the head coach is every day. I want my whole staff to be super involved. So that'd be probably the first is, not just one staff member. I think Jalen Ray's had obviously a very strong presence, but where's Kelly Hunter? Where's Brennan Hager? I think their presence will be a lot more known this year. And then, yeah, I think like changing the practice schedule a little bit. What's that look like? How are we using the time of practice? I know we do a lot more playing in my practices versus training. So I think that's been a different shift for the team. And also the roster size, that's been a big topic of conversation around the state. As John liked smaller roster, I like a little bit larger roster. So I think those are some of the biggest changes.
Well, taking just a look, not back, I mean, it was only a few months ago, but you were just with Louisville in the NCAA tournament against Penn State, and it was 2 female head coaches at the national championship tournament. And for me as a female, that is so awesome to see, and it's so inspirational. What's a piece of advice of other females wanting to lead as a head coach at any level?
Mm-hmm. I think it's really important to, take one thing at a time and not let yourself get too overwhelmed. I feel like when women in particular get in trouble is when they're worrying about the team, the recruits, your family. We try to take on all these roles and try to be perfect at all of them. So you don't have to be perfect every day at every single role. So that's number one. Number two, surround yourself with great people, particularly, people you work with, and make sure that they're going to support you and also give you some grace and understanding of changes that might be happening in your life.
Do you have any matches that you might have circled on the calendar this upcoming season that we can hone in on?
Well, it's funny. The first 3 games are against 3 of the biggest rivals I've had for the last 8 years. I mean, Stanford's new to the ACC, but quickly they're going to be a rival of probably everybody. So, we started with Pitt, who we've been playing twice a year for 8 years, go to Stanford, and then on to Kentucky. So 3 opponents I'm very used to. So excited for that. I think we're going to learn a lot really early about our team, and it's also going to allow us to give a lot of opportunities to players to see what they can do in those big moments. But then, of course, I have those Penn State games circled with Nebraska going out by them, and then us at Louisville losing to them. I feel like that's a common bond we have from last year.
Double revenge almost.
Double revenge, yes.
What is one piece of advice for an athlete on the recruiting side? Number one, what do you look for when you're recruiting? And maybe an athlete that plays at a mid D1, 2, 3, NAIA level. You don't need to be at the top D1 school, but what's a piece of advice and something that you look for when you're recruiting your own athletes?
I think first of all, you gotta really find your level and start to kind of hone in on that level. Is it D1, D2? Is it mid-level D1? And make sure that you're reaching out to schools that fit those levels. It's when you get fixated on a certain thing that I think recruits get lost in the mix. So focusing on your level, and I think we're always looking not only for great athletes, but great people. And I think that's true for all levels. And you want to find the right person that fits your culture and some of the players that are already on your roster.
A lot of national attention on your program, but looking forward to this next year, sort of a two-part question. Obviously we think about the football stadium and the massive game there. Do we have any plans for any more things like that? And then just your overall reaction to just how popular you and your program are.
No plans for a stadium game. It is exciting this year. We'll be playing in Pinnacle Bank Arena for the first 2 matches of the year. So it's something I think Nebraska's always been wanting to do, just didn't really find the right time. So that'll be great. And I just think the national attention we have is really special. And just listening to our players talk today at Big Ten Media Days, just the way that they use their platform, it's really inspiring even for me. And I learned something new about them today. So it's impressive that they don't take that for granted.
Let's talk a little bit X's and O's of volleyball, keeping the balloon off the ground. What is something that you're looking at offensive or defensively to come into the 2025 season?
But we want to go a little bit faster offensively. I think we have the pieces to be able to do that. We're going to be a great passing team. We got great setters, and we got really quick twitch athletes. So a little bit faster offensively. But other than that, volleyball's volleyball. You just got to be great at the basics. And we used to say, you can't get bored with the basics. And if you can serve and pass, you're going to win a lot of games.
Coach, just one more on the conference as a whole. We've been talking to some of the other coaches today, and it's such a rock fight to get through this conference and be on the top. And is that, do you view that as like a good kind of battle-tested nature for you guys to, kind of get to the end of the season and know you've had to play the best and be, as tested as possible to get to the end?
For sure. I think the Big Ten will test you in ways that you didn't even know you could get tested. So you might get past one opponent, the next night you have somebody else that's just as good or wants to beat you just as much. So I think it's a great conference to prepare you for the NCAA tournament. And I also think it's just a hats off to the sport of volleyball and how many great players are coming out of high school. And, it's just growing and getting better and better.
Well, thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate
you.
Thank you. Victoria, those were just some amazing interviews. Thank you again to all of our guests, to Big Ten Network for just such an amazing day here at Big Ten Media Day. Before we leave, Victoria, just some final thoughts of we had so many takeaways from those interviews, but what were some that stuck in your mind?
Too many takeaways, but I love talking with Izzy Starck. Being a freshman, coming in, winning the national championship at the quarterback position is just, it takes so much maturity to do that, and getting to meet her in person, getting to have that conversation with her, it really shines through, and she's just a salt of the earth person. And I would understand why a coach would want to recruit a player like that. She really just was a team first mentality, and she's still an underclassman, being a sophomore coming in and trying to go back-to-back national championships. I'm very excited for her career.
I'm excited to watch her. I'm excited to watch Penn State defend their title. I'm excited for the new regime in Nebraska. I thought it was so cool to hear about the little changes that are going to be coming, obviously replacing a legend there, but I think it's going to be totally a great process to watch as Nebraska instills their new culture and their new system there. And obviously, this Big Ten is so just stacked with all kinds of talent. There are going to be so many matches that we could just want to circle on the calendar, highlight, and just have the TV going all day.
You would have to have it going all day, because I can't even highlight one match that we're going to see this year that I am, that's my number one game, just because there's so many lineups. And when you look at different offense and defensive schemes, I think we're going to see a lot of progression this year with new coaches coming in at Oregon and Michigan State as well. So that'll be really fun to see. And on top of that, the sport, it keeps growing and growing. Nebraska, again, selling out their football stadium, but not just Nebraska, but across the board of the nation. D1, D2, D3, NAIA volleyball, JUCO volleyball. These rosters are filling out, and girls want to play at the next level, no matter what level it is. And I think it's so important to cast that light as well, that these coaches touched on, that you don't have to play at, the top 1, 2, or 3 schools. There's opportunity for everybody, and I think that was shown today.
Well, Victoria, it was also great to do this episode with you as well. So just super appreciative of this opportunity again for the Big Ten to work with you, Victoria. And then just, again, we're looking forward to an amazing season all year long. If you want to stay up to date, you already know how to do it. You follow along with this podcast. You follow USA Volleyball on social media. You check out our website at usavolleyball.org. And of course, we're just so excited to just keep bringing you this kind of content and to keep the USA Volleyball show going. But for now, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening, for watching, for tuning in to the USA Volleyball show, the official podcast of USA Volleyball.